Panel discussion, and the topic for this discussion would be bridging the urban-rural digital divide through mobilizing technology. And let's just call upon the stage the session moderator as well as the panel speakers with a huge round of applause. Please welcome Colonel Soumyabrata, Chakraborty, Registrar, Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani on the stage. Along with him, I would also like to welcome Professor Dr. Raman Kumar Jha, former Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Ranchi, on the stage. साथ ही साथ मैं स्टेज पे बुलाना चाहूंगी प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर सत्यजीत चक्रवर्ती, डायरेक्टर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग एंड मैनेजमेंट कोलकाता on the stage. And next, I would also like to welcome Dr. G.V. Subramanian, Director, Bhartiya Vidya, Bhavan, Kolkata, West Bengal on the stage. Next, I would request Mr. Rajesh Surana, CEO, Magnus Global School, Burdwan, West Bengal on the stage. I would also like to welcome Ms. or Mrs. Sutapa Nandi, the Director, Olivia, Enlightened English School, Siliguri, West Bengal on the stage. And of course, last but not the least, I would also like to welcome Gaurav, the General Manager, Sales and Marketing, Birla Open Minds, Mumbai, Maharashtra on the dais. Welcome and thank you so much to all the respected dignitaries for coming and joining us. So now I would request Colonel Soumyabrata Chakraborty to please take over the session. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. So a warm welcome to all the panelists. I'm seeing many of them for the first time. And a very good evening to all the audience here. I will begin by a self-introduction. I am Colonel Soumyabrata Chakraborty. I am from the Army, as you might have guessed. I am a civil engineering graduate, and I have been very lucky to have served in some of the premier institutes of higher education. I was the Chief Executive Administration and Finance of Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, and I had also served as the Registrar of Indian Institute of Technology, Palakkad. Both of these when I was in the Army on deputation. And now I am back as Registrar of BITS Pilani, which is my alma mater. So saying this, I will now move over to the discussion. Today's discussion is on bridging the urban-rural digital divide through mobilizing technology. Now, with me, there are eminent panelists. They are all having a big experience in diverse fields. They are from the academia and the industry. So I will now request each one of them to introduce themselves and also give their opening remarks. Starting with Dr. Raman Kumar Jha, who is the ex-Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Ranchi. Please, sir.
Thank you, sir. Brief about me is that this is my 32nd year of service in education sector only. I began my career way back in 1990. Started teaching in Delhi University while I was doing my PhD. Moved to Sikkim Manipal University in 1997. Served there for 12 years. Did also my MTech. I did my PhD in physics. Then headed an engineering college in Siliguri, West Bengal for 4 years. I also graduated, became a Vice Chancellor way back in 2013 to Indus International University, Himachal Pradesh. And from there, I moved to Amity University, Jharkhand in 2016, where I have now completed my term just recently in January 2023. So I'm a free bird after 32 years and wish to start creating my own sky. That's what I would introduce myself as, because I have chosen my token of my, or the brand of my service which I want to give to the society back is a bird. So I want to create that sky. That's me. And rest as it follows, I'll keep adding. If you want me to add something on the subject.
Yeah.
I would rather begin with saying that it is divinity, and how you define divinity is divided unity is divinity. That means Almighty had already divided us and made us all different, but still we are all human beings. And therefore, there is a need for remaining united, and thus the need for something which you call as education. So education is one such string which binds us together to remain civilized, to remain productive, to remain off being used for somebody else. And that's the divine design that we have. Today, as we progress, I'll add certain things wherein we have been divided in rural and urban, but that division is to be celebrated rather than taken up as a divide or a way of partitioning the two parts. If there was no village, there would be no town. Because there is town, there were someday villages. So this is the sign of progress as I see it. Thank you, sir.
Very good afternoon to all the delegates on the dais and the delegates at this August assembly. Myself, I am Professor Dr. Satyajit Chakrabarti. I am the Director of Institute of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, and the Pro-Vice Chancellor of University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata and Jaipur. My background is a little bit from the industry. I started as a BTech from Institute of Engineering and Management, and then I did my master's in University of British Columbia in Canada. I was working as an IT project manager in Canada in TELUS. TELUS is the equivalent of BSNL in here in India. So, you know, it was completely a software development and a IT project manager background. Then I came back to India in 2007, and, you know, I started my journey as a teacher in IEM. And I did my PhD in NIT, National Institute of Technology, Agartala, in the field of nanotechnology. And after that, it's been a journey, you know, working with teams in IEM and UEM. We created UEM Jaipur in 2011, then UEM Kolkata in 2015. And it's been a journey to scale, journey to provide high quality education, journey to integrate all these new digital technologies, artificial intelligence, you know, cloud computing, all these things to our students. And thankfully, with a very proactive and a very, approach few years ahead of the game, we have been able to, ride the pandemic very effortlessly, because we had an entire database of lectures by the teachers. We had an entire, access to digital, classrooms and all. So when the lockdown was announced, we just switched over from a physical routine to a online routine. And that's something that came very naturally to us. Later, I found out that that was a very much outlier, because following the 9 to 5 routine was out of the question for 99.9% of the institutions all over India. Even those having digital delivery mechanisms were using WhatsApp or few hours of Zoom or those things. And also we had the capability of addressing the entire batch of students. We had those because of my background in US and Canada. we were using that in 2000s. So that also I think helped a lot when I tried to lead all the teachers into the digital delivery mechanisms. 20 years ago, I had done it on a day-to-day basis, sitting in Vancouver, Canada. We had teams in Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto, and it was no big deal. It was a daily thing. You dial in and you switch on. At that time, it was net meeting, Microsoft net meeting. So you switch on net meeting, you share your spreadsheet, you talk on the phone, you dial in a conference bridge, everyone dial in the number and the passcode and enter the bridge. So it was very ubiquitous that way, and that has stuck with me. And I tried to rub some of that to my colleagues. And anyway, coming back, so it's a very interesting topic of the digital divide, how to bridge it. When my chance comes later, but I'll just spend 1 minute to tell you something I have felt. Most people feel that people in the rural areas are at a disadvantage. I'll give you a separate angle to this entire thing. I feel that students who are in tier 2 cities, maybe not so much rural area, but tier 2 cities, and some, they are at an advantage. Why? Because, with affluency comes lot of distractions of the YouTube and the YouTube shorts and the Facebook reels, all these things, or maybe it was other things, Facebook short and YouTube reel, and with the online gaming, the Roblox and all these the free gaming platforms, the people who have the higher bandwidth, who have the haves and have-nots, those who haves, they are super distracted. But those who are not from such an affluent background, they have the thirst, they have the desire to succeed. And they are using these cheap internet available, the bandwidth available, to consume the freely available knowledge and information out there from the YouTubes and the free certification programs and the apps, all these things. And they are actually going to come out better. So the Gen Zs will perhaps be more successful from the rural and tier 2 cities than the affluent cities and the big schools of the bigger cities. So I'll talk more on this when my chance comes. I think I've done. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. G.V. Subramanian. I am the director of Bhartiya Vidya Bhavan, an institute of Indian culture, and we also run schools and colleges. We have 317 institutions all over India and 10 institutions abroad. And a lot of cultural activities also is being conducted. Now, coming to the topic as such, the division about bridging the urban and rural digital divide through mobilization technology. This is a topic. First of all, let us understand what is this digital divide all about. Gap between people who have access to broadband services and know how to use it, and those who don't. That's the gap in the digital divide. Now tell me from your own way, your own thought process, your own common sense, is this gap there only in rural area, or is the gap there in urban area also? If the gap is there both in rural and urban area, then there is no digital divide between urban and rural area. This is my contention. Further on this particular topic, we will go about it and then we will discuss about it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Myself, Rajesh Surana. I am also, as a background, I am an engineer from Jadavpur. I have done my MBA in finance and FSCFA. I've worked in corporate for close to 28 years in US, UK, and different cities in India. But I always had whenever I had gone back to my hometown, which is not a rural, but maybe a tier 3, tier 4 city in West Bengal, Burdwan, I always used to find that the education is not at a level where it should be. And that is where my motivation was to leave my job and then started a school. So I started this school 5 years back in Burdwan called Magnus Global School with an ambition saying that would like to give the best of the education to even interiors of the West Bengal state. Because in West Bengal, when you talk about education, it is mostly centered around Calcutta. So that was my motivation, and I basically set up an institute with all kind of technological, with my background, all kind of technology facility available there, and trying to give the best. And focus is on conceptual education, moving away from rote learning. So that is my motivation, and I have been full-time onto my institute. Coming to the topic, I think first of all, we need to understand why are we talking about a divide between rural and urban. And I think that is what is basically the quality of education. We don't need to talk about a divide. The division is there because the quality of education which is there available in the rural area is not up to the mark as it is available in the urban area. And that is why we are talking about how to bridge this gap, and with the help of technology, which is available today in different versions, different like combinations, and what can be taken. So we'll talk about the different aspects of it, the pitfalls of it as we move along. So I'm happy to pass on to next, Ma'am Sutapa.
Thank you, sir. A very happy, I think it's evening. So a very happy evening to all the delegates present today in this room and all the speakers on the dais. Very happy afternoon, all these sirs. Today we all have gathered here for a very sensitive topic, I seem. Before coming to the opening portion, I would like to introduce myself, Sutapa Nandi, Director of Olivia Group of School. We are heading 2 schools, one named as Olivia Enlightened English School and the other as Heritage Academy. And we are also heading a preschool group called Olivia Kids. So that's a school. My journey begins as a teacher. I myself belong to an educator's family where we had a school itself. So my journey actually began when I was just 15 years of age, and as a teacher, I felt always loving to be with the children, understanding them, understanding to learn, how to learn, what to learn, and why to learn. This has always become, this is always my passion, that how pedagogical innovations through different forms, be it technology, be it activity-based learning, be it engagement learning, how the pedagogical innovations can bring a change in the life of a learner. That is the prime motto of me. Coming to my education background, I have completed my MSc and B.Ed from NBU and PGDIT. So back in 2003, I had completed my PGDIT. So I am blessed that when people were struggling with computer learning, I already completed my diploma, and that has always helped me out throughout being computer literate. And for today's addressing topic, my school belongs to a rural belt. We are not exactly from a town. We belong to a place where rural, it comes under rural belt, and we didn't had, prior pandemic, it was always 2G or 3G, and now things have changed and we have come across with 4G. So the divide, I can exactly tell you how and what was that. So I'll just give a brief up during the time of pandemic. During pandemic, as sir also said, he quoted that it was not a big shift for his organization because he just transferred from physical to digital, which was very easy because he had taken such sort of backups. when we started the organization called Olivia Enlightened English School, we had one mission with us, and the mission was quality education at affordable price. Now, when we talk about quality education, it doesn't seem that only the concept is clear. It seems, or it resembles, that we cater to the requirement, the demand of which the present industrial generation requires. We are talking about 21st century skills, but the teacher themselves are not 21st century skilled or trained to give that type of education. And we talk about 21st century learners. What about 21st century trainers? So when we talk about quality education, our mission was always to cater to 21st century learners via 21st century trainers. And that's why we move on to pedagogical innovations. Because pedagogical innovations will always bring dynamicity into teaching. And when teaching is dynamic, learning automatically is dynamic. That was our mission. And considering all these things, we took technology into priority, being in a rural belt where 2G and 3G was quite, not even affordable. We were graded as India's 10th technology avant-garde school before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we started many technological interventions in our school curriculum, and the same thing persisted with us. When pandemic hit, we were really ready with switching over from the physical class to the digital class. And now, when we are talking about new normal, we have made and bridged the gap of physical and digital and termed it as phygital, where we are developing a software which is very user-friendly, not only for the students, but also for the teachers to impart quality education. So I think we can consider our school as a huge gap bridged between rural and urban belt. Thank you.
Thanks, Colonel Chakrabarti, for such a warm welcome. I think first of all, being the youngest person on the stage and probably in this auditorium, I would say namaste to all of you all. My name is Gaurav Dadich. I am working with Birla Open Minds for almost 10 years now. I am heading the sales and marketing division for franchisee as well as COCO vertical of Birla Open Minds. We have about 150 schools across India. We at Birla Open Minds firmly believe in holistic development of a child from cradle to career, and to give a strong and sure start to every child, we provide an integrated thematic-based curriculum. Now, coming to the topic, this is actually an interesting topic because we have seen then that there is a huge void when it comes to urban and rural part of the country. For me, I think internet usage is one of the major reason behind this void, because in rural part of the country, the internet usage and the education about the usage of digital learning and internet is weak as compared to the urban area. And on the other hand, obviously, in urban areas, this is one of the important role this internet plays an important role to obviously enhance the I would say the learning for each individual over there. So I believe government can do a lot of things to bridge this gap, which probably they are doing, but some of the schemes which they are launching, I believe there are some gaps wherein they are not able to monitor these schemes, whether these schemes are being implemented at the root level or not. So to overcome that, I think government can appoint some audit team who can monitor who can monitor whether these policies and schemes are being implemented at the root level or not. So I'm happy to share my views further as we go forward on this discussion.
Thank you all for your wonderful views on the topic. Firstly, the topic itself is so controversial now. I didn't realize it. Now that Dr. Subramanian and then Dr. Chakraborty, they have put a new twist to the entire angle of digital divide. So now we have to go back to the digital divide and address that. But before doing, I will not leave Gaurav. You have just spoken very less. So I would like to know your views because you are the only person who is coming from a sales and background on the field. So just tell me, what are the challenges that you feel that as a educator or as a industry oriented person, what is the role of this edutech or you say technology in furthering these government policies as you addressed?
So see, education in urban areas, we know there is a huge scope when it comes to digital learning because in rural areas, people are not able to. I think
I was coming to the role. Like, what is this education and technology? How do they actually get into this whole act of bridging the digital divide?
so sorry, pardon. Can you please ask one more time?
Okay, you leave that aside.
we can
You
leave it.
share your views on the subject.
I'll probably share.
Okay, so then I'll
afterwards.
move to Dr. Subramanian because you raised that very interesting angle where you mentioned that the digital divide, as you addressed, is how to make. You actually gave the opening remarks where you said that the divide itself is controversial because you said that urban and rural, how you are using the internet or how you are using the digital technology, that is of
Yeah.
more importance. So please give some examples from your.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there is actually, according to me, there is no divide at all. The challenges are the same, whether it is urban or rural. So we should not divide between urban and rural. As Madam has rightly said, it comes from the basic education divide which is there, and that is the reason why it's been done. Now, what are those challenges? Electricity is a big challenge. Calcutta, luckily, you know, in West Bengal, we don't have much of industries. So those olden days power cuts is gone. Electricity is plentifully available at this particular point of time. But then, still electricity cuts are there, even in Calcutta, as well as in rural area. We tried our level best in certain places to have the solar power system, but it doesn't work in Calcutta because only 6 months the sun is there. All the other rest of the sun, you cannot draw solar power energy at all. And that is the reason why, comparing to other states, solar power is not so popular in West Bengal. You talk about internet connectivity. How many of us, forget about the internet connectivity itself, how many of us are facing problem in our own mobile? When I want to talk to sir yesterday, you know, I could not able to connect with him in the normal way. Then I have to do a WhatsApp message and send him in a WhatsApp message, and only one tick was there, the other tick was not there. That means I am very sure the message has not reached his inbox. So that internet connectivity, is it a problem only in rural area? Is it a problem in urban area also? We are unable to hear our own voices even if we are sitting just about 5 kilometers away. Infrastructure facilities is not up to the mark. The digital illiteracy, as Madam was rightly pointing out, many of the teachers do not know even to use computers when the pandemic was opened. The teachers has to be trained first, the usage of computers, and later on the usage of internet facilities, and then the usage of how to do the delivery of the education. It's there in urban area itself. If it is there in urban area, it is there in rural area also. The challenges are the same. And similarly, it is a problem with the parents. How many parents are digital literate? Forget about digital literate. Educational literate, how many parents are there? Like I can give you an example in Tripura state, where we have our own school and college education, etc. There are many, many people in Tripura state who are all tribal people, and the people are below poverty line. Not even the first time learners are there. We have to go there, pick up the first time learners, bring them to our school, teach them up to 12th standard, teach them some kind of a skill. These kind of a problems are there. Parents themselves are illiterate, and we find such kind of a parents in Kolkata city also. So you have to teach them. And when you have such kind of a people, then there is no point in talking about the students also. Who is to guide the students? The teachers are not literate. Parents are not literate. Who is to guide the students? In fact, as sir has rightly said, we who have learned, who have been exposed to such kind of things, we have to give them a lot of emphasis and see that they are trained first so that the delivery is possible. So it goes on, sir. Let me give chance to other people or to speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sunam, for your views. Mr. Rajesh, you have moved on from the engineering background to teaching students in the school level. So I would like to know from you, what are the negative impact of technology on this urban-rural divide?
Talking about the negative, there are lots in terms of, and the first thing that comes up, what has been already talked about, is the knowledge or the awareness of the parents. What's happening and what we are seeing. We are in a semi-rural kind of a place. And we are seeing cases after cases where the students are very easy and they're taking the easy approach to confuse their parents about the mobile usage. Like, as a school, after this pandemic, in the first 2-3 months of this academic year, we realized the heavy, like I'll say, negative use of the mobile phones by the students. And we took a decision from the school saying that no activity, because when the pandemic came, we actually saw this as an opportunity post-pandemic that we will integrate the digital or the mobile-based learning into our curriculum in a full-fledged manner and do a hybrid model. But once the pandemic was over, and after 3 to 4 months, we realized that mobile usage is going in the negative direction. We took a decision saying that this year we'll not do anything in the mobile for the students. But still, the students have been able to confuse their parents and have gone ahead with a negative usage a lot. We have been seeing people are on YouTube, on Insta, on Reels, a huge number of hours per day. And it's a huge influential thing. One student is doing it, others feel left out, right? So that is one of the major area where I think it is very, very important. When the parents come to us, we actually take an effort to train them or teach them how to track the mobile usage. What is the way that they can track where the students are spending time on the mobile? Because students say school has sent something, we need to look at the mobile. We have a school app where we use for classwork, homework, and all those details. And though we sent it now for the parents, but the students use it. And the parents always say that, no, students are saying school is sending something. So we basically take an effort to train the parents about track how the students are using the mobile. We cannot be staying away from it. To be very honest, digital, we cannot be staying away from it. We have to use it for the betterment of the student only. But it has to be the right use, and we have to ensure that if we can build an environment, which we are trying in our school from next academic year, build an environment where the students will have access to technology, but in a limited usage. They cannot use anything other than what the school wants them to use. And that is what we like them to keep in a periphery so that they cannot go out and waste their time on.
Thank you so much for your views. So I agree fully with him that it has to be a judicious use. I will move on to Professor Jha now. So you have been associated with the academia for a long time, and I know you have been dealing extensively with the government. So if you can just throw some light on the policy formation, the utilization of funds that the government gives. Even Gaurav mentioned that the funds are being given, but the use on ground is suspect. So things, if you could, from your experience, relate to what are these policy formations and how it can help this digital divide bridge the gap?
Since I started with the term divinity, I still feel glad that even at this hour, we have some audience listening to us. This is how the divinity works. And that I have my own teacher sitting in the audience, and he said he would have gone otherwise, but he is here to listen to me, Dr. K. Chakrabarti here. Thank you so much. And that's the relationship between a student and a teacher. I have had a Sainik school background as well, so I should have been in army, but remained in education. Though not in government sector, but totally in private. I would begin by saying this, that every student is nothing but a seed, and every seed has all the ingredients inside it. We as agents of education, agents should not be meant in negative sense, as agents of creation for those seeds to trees, there are 4 or 5 factors you can imagine. One is the academia itself, then the government, and the third is the industries and the society at large. Now, these 4 factors, all of them have different roles to play for the seed to grow. And I would put it as, say, academia. Academia has a role to build in technology and bring it to the table of the students or the needers or the needy or those who want to use it. The government, with its financial support and aim, has to follow this sense which is either being followed elsewhere in the world or is a requirement for that country or the region or the state. And then same way, the industries have their own role to collaborate the two, which means there are things which are required for education. It is the role of the government and the industries to see through the academia that the things are implemented, and society has to accept whatever is coming and also react and respond positively. Now, I have put my points here in just 4 different categories so that I can be brief and still I can reach you positively. I feel villages are the growth units which are now available as barren lands for the ICT developed by the industries to be utilized. Rather than saying that they are backward, I would say those are the playgrounds, those are the fertile lands, those are the available opportunities for all of us to experiment on and to make them what they are really supposed to do from the seed, supposed to become. Internet, of course, remains an issue which is not there to the extent required in the villages. And I must stress that it is not that we only have to teach them. Only teaching will not do. So I will talk about the technology which exists, the data which speaks about the extent of technology in village and the town, the why it does exist in that fashion, and ultimately come to the solution, and what we are doing at the end. And I'll also raise some questions which are open questions but contradictory. Like Dr. Subramanian said, there are contradictions in us. I'll begin with the data. There are 341 million urban population which uses internet, but 351 million rural population uses internet. That means more in the rural area than urban area. Now that's a good data to understand. So not that the rural area does not use internet. By 2025, we will have 900 million users in the whole country. We at present have around 835 subscribers, March 22 data. 50% of the student but still do not have access to internet is a fact. And 25,000 plus villages lack internet, which means 60 to 70% of the country still lack internet facility. So therefore, that is a matter of concern. Now, why that happens? Why is that happening? The reason for it is that this fiber optics is more costly and it is logistically difficult, especially in the area which is topographically or climatic conditions are bad. So that's one reason. Then low government aid is a fact which Colonel Chakraborty stressed, that government does not give priority to, especially in the rural areas, because the government works more on who approaches them more or who can grab it more, rather than just the policies. So I would say, I would request, in case there are government officials here, that please pay equal stress on rural as well as urban, because everyone is a seed with the same potential. Somebody had used it as potential energy being converted to kinetic energy. Then the reasons are also that there are increasing demands of this telework and telehealth related works. So when the demand increases, naturally there will be congestion and there will be paucity of the resources available. More high bandwidth is a requirement nowadays. Therefore, of course, the divide gets widened. We have limited company growths and resources in rural areas. We have low finance market support also for rural areas, especially the ISP, Internet Service Providers. And in the areas where the population is less, we have less return on investment. So people from the business community are not coming to that area to really invest. Now coming to the solution. We had the data, we had these reasons. What are the technologies available? I would say we are very lucky that technology for everything is already available. But it should be taken up as a tool. For example, we have the dial-up, we have the DSL, the satellite. Of course, there are many companies, Bhartiya, Airtel, Jio, as well as Starlink. The satellite, the WISP, the wireless internet service providers, cellular broadbands, 4G, 5G, Dish, Starlink, or even the fixed wireless. All these are the areas or the tools which are available. And then the solutions. Please let us understand that it is not the problem only in India. This also is the problem in rural America. So they have made policies, and our government should also go in the same lines, that we should have a statewide lifeline program by the government. We should have rural business market rather than providing internet to households. We should have co-working spaces which may be generated in each village as a growth unit, wherein people can come and work and use the internet services. We should promote rural internet areas for growth and community engagement. I'll take just maybe 30 seconds more. Now, then what we are doing is, we have started, I said we are creating a sky. Most of the educationists which we are discussing from morning almost 9 till now, they have been discussing about the choice of career that the student will have, or why the market is not giving everybody the happy attitude at the workplace. That is because we have not matched the passion with the actual job that people are doing. And therefore, we created a space called Jeet, wherein we are going to use the artificial intelligence to understand each child as to what is he actually made of by the divine, and then give him the job or prescribe him the job that he has. Some contradictory questions that I have in my mind, I'll just raise them not to have the answer. All right, I'll stop that with the contradictory questions now, and if the time comes, I'll come back to it. Thank you so much.
I really apologize for the paucity of time, because we are running out of time and we have to stick to the schedule. So I will like to have the closing comments from Professor Chakraborty first, and then move on to Gaurav and perhaps Dr. Nandi. So if you can just wrap it up in 1 or 2 sentences. We are really out of time. Yeah. Starting with Professor Chakraborty.
Okay, yeah, so as closing remarks, I would like to just say that things are, of course, there is some divide in terms of access to bandwidth, but it is getting better. And, and within, I think, 2025, as the numbers were quoted, that most or majority or most of rural India will be, having bandwidth at 4G or, good speeds, and may overtake the urban, connectivity. So yes, it is a difficult transition, but it is happening in a very fast pace. And more than the digital divide, it is actually the thirst of the students, the determination of the students which matter. And I firmly believe that many rural students are at an advantage where the number of distractions are less than some of the urban affluent students. So that is my take on the subject.
Yeah, for the closing, I would just say about the digital divide. We are talking about digital divide with rural and urban, but I feel this digital divide, as Sir also predicted, it's not only with urban and rural, it caters to some other fields also. For example, the gender divide. If we see the percentage of internet usage, we'll see that women are less prone to using internet as compared to men. So I think women should be empowered to be digitally literate, especially in the rural belt, because if a family is already empowered with digital literacy, especially with the housemaker, the entire house becomes digitally literate. So I think there we should work upon, and until the plethora of digital divide is not addressed timely, the affordability and sustainability of digital society would just be a sheer chimera. So that's all for me from my side.
So for the closing statement, I would say it is necessary it is necessary for the government to increase the digital literacy and work on that. Also, to make the rural population aware about the digital banking with the help of the private sectors also. And we all know that India is a developing country, so this will definitely help us be at the top of the list at the world. So I think government should focus on digital learning across the country.
Thank you so much, all esteemed panelists. I'm really very thankful to you for giving time and then also enlightening us and the audience with your views. And I hope that we have a way forward. All of you who are here as part of the audience, I thank you all for joining the discussions, and I also thank the event organizers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to all our respected dignitaries. So now I would request Chandan sir, if you're here around, to please come and join the stage to felicitate. So of course, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting with the session moderator and of course the eminent panel speaker of the night, Colonel Soumyabrata Chakraborty, the Registrar, Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani. And everybody, please put your hands together for Colonel Soumyabrata. Thank you. So next I would request Chandan sir to please felicitate Dr. and Professor Raman Kumar Jha, former Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Ranchi, and everybody. Please एक बार जोरदार तालियों से इनका सम्मान किया जाए.
where we have an amalgamation of school education as well as higher education. So first session who have witnessed this morning was on school education. Second session was on higher education. Third session was also on higher education. And this last session, where we could not miss some of the eminent speakers, we thought that you should be on the stage and the dais. Hence, we kept a topic such so that school education and higher both can collaborate and speak on the common topic. I hope that audience with their claps can definitely prove that this panel has done the justice to this last session of the day. Thank you so much, speakers, for this panel.
Thank you so much. Indeed, it was a very interesting panel session, and let's move on to our felicitation ceremony. Next, I would request Chandan sir to please felicitate Professor and Dr. Satyajit Chakraborty, Director, Institute of Engineering and Management, Kolkata. একটু জোরে হাততালি হয়ে যাক Mr. Satyajit Chakrabortyর জন্য. Next, I would request Dr. G.V. Subramanian, Director, Bhartiya, Vidya, Bhavan, Kolkata, West Bengal. So please come forward, and everybody please put your hands together for Dr. G.V. Subramanian. Thank you. Next, I would request Chandan sir to please felicitate Mr. Rajesh Surana, CEO, Magnus Global School, Burdwan, West Bengal. Everybody, can we have a huge round of applause for him? Next, I would request sir to please felicitate the beautiful and the talented at the same time, Miss or Mrs. Sutapa Nandi, Director, Olivia, Enlightened English School, Siliguri, West Bengal. Thank you so much. And next, alright, next I would request Chandan sir to please felicitate Mr. Gaurav Dadhich, General Manager, Sales and Marketing, Birla Open Minds, Mumbai, Maharashtra. And everybody, can we have a huge round of applause for none other than Mr. Gaurav Dadhich. Thank you so much, and I request all the speakers and dignitaries to please come forward for the group photo.